Yo, what's up, everybody? It's on the 619 with another Conversations with the Community. Woohoo! I got the guests. This dude, when I started watching comic book content on YouTube, he was like one of the first guys I would watch. Big fan. You know, when they started doing like unboxings and they were showing like statues and stuff, he was like one of the dudes that I would watch. And I got to meet him. I did the pilgrimage to Heroes Con, and out there I had the pleasure of meeting him. He's heavily involved with comics curing cancer, something that's near and dear to my heart. So I want to everyone welcome my guest, DJ Linx.
Hey,
What's up?
what's up, man? Thank you for the invite. I greatly
Oh,
appreciate it.
dude, I really appreciate your time, DJ Links. Very happy that you're here. Let's dive into questions, bro.
Let's go, baby.
All right. So, how did you get your screen name?
DJ Linx. So I'm DJ Linx before YouTube, before everything. In high school, I remember doing a talent show, and it was three of us, and then our name was the Links, DA Links. Like that was our little rap group, and that was based off of Raekwon the Chef's Only Built for Cuban Links that came out in '95. So we had
Right.
did the talent show, and then we just became a crew, and we were known as the Links. So then I like things fell apart down the road, and then I just became DJ Links. Like everybody just knew me as DJ Links. So I started doing parties and like all this stuff. So then like I established my actual DJ company. I want to say in 2008, I think it was. So I have a full-fledged DJ company and all that stuff. So I'm DJ Links outside of YouTube, outside of everything. Everyone just knows me as Links. Like even my family members, some of them just call me Links, which is crazy. So yeah. So the good thing about that is if I wanted to switch to from comic book content to like tires and rims or some other crap, I'll still be DJ Links just outside of comic book content.
Nice, nice. So I'm assuming that music plays a big part of not just your life, but the hobby.
Music to me is everything. Like I remember I was telling my wife, not even long ago, this had to be a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, if TV and music were hanging off the side of a cliff, like which would you save? Like TV shows and stuff, and music means everything to me. Like I'll put music above comic books. Like music is everything to me.
Nice. Um, So, how did you get into comics? What are some of your earliest comic book memories?
Yeah, thanks. I got into comics basically because of my brother. He gave me he handed down some comics to me, but before even that, like I was real big into the Incredible Hulk show. Like I didn't even know there was a comic for that. I thought that was just a TV show, and that's the Incredible Hulk show with Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby.
Back in
I
the
used
day.
Dude, I used to love that. That's one of the only shows that I ever remember watching, like with my siblings and my dad, because my dad was always like working or in the room or whatever. But I remember like we would sit down and watch the Incredible Hulk on it was on a Saturday morning at that time. Like I don't know if that was reruns. It had to be because I was already older and the show had finished in like
Yeah.
83. But that was my thing. So I had that, and then I had some action figures. So I had some Captain America action figure from like the first the Secret Wars line. So I had Captain America, Doctor Doom, Daredevil, Spider-Man, and I didn't know those were comic book characters until my brother in like 88 or something like that. He gave me like a little stack. It was like a Batman, a GI Joe, a Spider-Man of comic books, and I've read those things like over and over and over. I only had like 8 of them, and I just read them over and over and over. And then when I found out like what they were, when I went to school and people were talking about it, and then they had opened up a comic book store in my hood, and from
Yeah.
there I was just like begging for change, like for me to go get some comic books. Some of the early ones that I remember getting on my own, I'm not even going to talk about the stuff that was handed down to me, but like McFarlane's like Spider-Man 1, like that to me was like life-changing. X-Men #1, when Jim Lee did the X-Men cover, that was amazing to me. Infinity Gauntlet, like that series like changed my life. From a nostalgia perspective, that's my favorite series of all time. That's when I fell in love with Thanos. And yeah, it was off to the races, but I'm definitely like an early 90s kid as far as it comes from comics. Like before that, I did have some like late 80s stuff. Like I remember having first appearance of Venom, things like that, that I had no idea what value they held or anything back then. And I wanted selling them all. But for me back then, it was nothing about like, oh, new character, this and that. It was more about like the story and the art. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, back then, as a kid, you could go to a comic book store like with $20 and get all kinds of books. Now you gotta get like a second job.
Yo, it's mad.
Books are pricey, bro.
Yeah. What's your like your weekly pull? Like what's your budget on your weekly pull?
You know what? A few years ago, it was I would buy up to 14 to 15 books,
Yeah.
but I found it. It was like very like it felt like work because you know what I mean. Once you get like a stack and you fall behind getting those books weekly, it's rough. So right now, I'm at a sweet spot between like 6 or 7 books.
That's
It
good.
take me like a couple days, and then I have that hunger for more comics the next week, you know. But yeah, right now 6 and 7 is like the sweet spot for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good spot.
and
Early
it,
on, like during COVID, like I was getting everything, 22,
yeah,
23 books, like which was insane to me. And then like you said, I fell behind on reading and then I just stopped. And then I dwindled down to like 9 or 10 lately because
yep.
of the new stuff that's coming out. Like I'm back up to like 15, 16 books, but I want to get that back down to like 10.
Well, and that's the thing too. There's a lot of good comics right now. It's hard, man. For me, it's like there's a lot of books
Mhm.
that I've dropped that I didn't want to. Dude, funny. The one book I did drop, but I went back on it, and the good thing is that I didn't wait very long. Was Absolute Batman.
Whew.
I know. I stopped at 5, and I was like, you know what? This is actually pretty good. Jumped back at 8, and I'm glad I did because oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's so good, so good, so good.
yeah, Absolute
Um,
Batman is amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy right now. Who or what inspired you to do comic book content on social media?
So when the pandemic hit, like I was watching some people on YouTube, like big shout out to Gem Mint. So I was watching Gem Mint
Yeah,
do statues and unboxings, things like that. Wink Inc., who doesn't do content anymore, but Wink Inc. was a big influence on me. Like he was doing the like the mystery boxes and stuff like that. So those were the main 2 cats that I would watch, Gem Mint and Wink Inc. And then of course with a couple of other cats thrown in there. And then like I remember years before getting on YouTube, like my friends would tell me, dude, you need to get on YouTube, because I already had my collection. Like I already had a collectibles room. Like I
Yeah.
had everything. Like I had cameras, everything. And
Yeah.
I didn't. And then when the pandemic hit, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna make this video, and I made my first video, which was terrible. Everyone's first video is terrible, but I'm glad I took that leap of faith and jumped in and didn't wait till everything was perfect. But yeah, I would say my main influences, or my biggest influences, was Gem Mint Collectibles and Wink Inc.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Gemmin. I know he took a little break, but I know recently he's been doing like content again, which is great. Cause like just like you, he was also one of the first guys I used to watch on YouTube. And yeah, no, it was one of those things where same thing. I watch you, I watch Gemmin, and I was like, you know what? I have all this stuff. I have no one to share it with. And yeah, dude, dude, I'm still like that though. My first videos, I can't watch. It's like, oh my gosh, I was terrible. I still don't think that, like, for example, like doing these interview shows,
Yeah,
it's not my comfort zone, but I like doing them. I get a lot of satisfaction. But yeah, it's not in my comfort zone, but I kind of like it challenges me,
yeah.
to do it. And dude, I've done over 40, almost 50 interviews, and I like to think I'm doing better, but I'll let the people watching judge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for you to say it's not in your comfort zone, that's like wild to me, because you do a fantastic job.
Thank you, thank you. Um, uh, how has social media helped you in your everyday life?
So social media, for me, it's a necessary evil. I'm not a
Okay.
big social media guy. I do have an Instagram. I had a Twitter back in the day, but that was mainly when my daughter, when she was a teenager or even like a preteen. So I know she had a Twitter, so I created a Twitter just so I could follow her and make sure she's doing what she has to do, because all that shit catches up to you. And then once she became of age, I deleted it. I had no more need for a Twitter, and then it became X, but I had deleted it. So I do have an Instagram. I do have a Threads, and whatever I post on my Instagram, that goes to my Threads. But I don't actively post on Threads. I don't actively do anything on Threads other than it being connected. Yeah, like for me, it's a necessary evil. I think all in all, like social media is a distraction tool that distracts us from the truth and what's going
True.
on.
Can be.
It's Yeah, for me, it's like the new idiot box. So when TV came on, and like reality shows and all this shit is just like a distraction from what's going on in the world, and I think that's what social media is. But it's a necessary tool if you want to grow your channel, if you want to communicate with people within the community. So I'm involved in a couple of group chats, and that's mainly my focus. Like sometimes I have to, people have to remind me to post stuff, and sometimes I have to post stuff. So if you go through my Instagram feed, it's very sparse. I'm probably posting like one thing a week or maybe two things a week. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of social media, other than getting your stuff out there if you want to get engagement, and just being a part of like group chats and just talking to people through like DMs and messaging.
Yeah. So okay, We're gonna talk about social media. As far as like you've been doing it for a while, you know.
Mhm.
And dude, I mean, your stuff is just amazing. It's really good. I watch your stuff all the time. As far as like longevity, like what keeps you going? Because I know a lot of guys, like there's like guys that used to do stuff that don't do stuff anymore. They just for some reason or another they quit. But what keeps you going?
I think for me, I've always looked at YouTube and like video creation as like my outlet. So this is like my therapy. So in getting into it, it wasn't about, and to this day, it's still not about getting subscribers, getting 1,000 views, getting this, getting that. Like for me, that was never my approach. My approach is to keep my sanity. I know that I like creating videos. Like I don't DJ anymore, so I need a creative outlet. So I
Yes.
enjoy making videos. Like that's I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy editing the videos, and that's where it stops for me. Like I don't care if one person watches it or if a million people watch it. I just enjoy the video creation aspect to it. Now, to be fully transparent, there were times that I wanted to step away and that I wanted to quit. And then I told the homies, I was just like, yo, I think this is it for me.
Yeah.
And this is where having real homies is important, right? So you know, they didn't tell me, oh, do whatever you want to do. Like, we support you. No, it's like, yo, stop being a bitch. People look up to you. People look forward to your content. Make your content. And it's like, I'm making my content.
Those are real friends.
Yeah, and I think that's what you have to keep around you. But there were multiple times that I wanted to step away, and a lot of it comes from not even stepping away because it's like a burden to do this. Like, I will feel like creatively stagnant. So like with the mystery boxes, I've stepped away from mystery boxes, but a lot of it is repetitive. Like, I get the big time collectibles box every month because I support big time collectibles, but I understand like a lot of it is repetitive. But then now for me with unboxings and getting keys or whatever it is, like, how can I make that like different and make every video kind of like do its own thing as far as like creativity. So that's why I'm always like playing around in the video, whether it's like different transitions, learning masks recently. So I do a lot of things with it's called masks, where like in a video that I got coming out on Monday, as a matter of fact, or my last video that I just dropped. Well, you see, like, I'm holding up the comic book, but the comic book is in color, but then the rest of the frame it fades into black and white. So just like trying different things creatively. But
Nice.
yeah, I'm not gonna do this forever. But big shout out to having real homies, man. That's gonna tell you, yo, just stop being a bitch. Like, that's the homie that you got to keep around.
Yeah, they keep it real. They keep it real. How many comic books you own?
Oh shit! How many comic books do I own? I want to say probably around maybe like close 5,000-6,000.
That's a lot of comics.
Yeah, it's a lot of comics. So I remember I put like half of them in my, and then the only reason I know that is because I was like cataloging them in my cover price, and I got up to like 3,200, and I was like halfway done, and I was just like, fuck this, this is too much. Like, but yeah, I own around like that, close to 6,000. Out of that though, because I got like the full run of Hulk. So from Hulk, Tales of Astonish 59 all the way up until Hulk 474, I think is when it ended. And then I'm trying to work on every single like Hulk run. So I'm like, in that of itself, that's probably like close to 1,000 comics or something like that.
A lifetime of collecting right there. It's a lifetime of collecting.
What happens is I'm very susceptible to suggestion. So if someone says, "Hey, I think you should collect the entire Hulk run," I'm gonna do it. Like yeah, I'm wild like that. So I'm doing that. I'm working on the ASM run. I'm Silver Surfer, so that's one of my favorite characters. So I'm working on the first volume of Silver Surfer, and then the third volume from the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. So I have a few books left in that. So working on runs, everything kind of catches up.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I was gonna ask this later on, but I'm gonna ask it now. Do you consider yourself a Marvel or DC bro?
I gotta laugh. Yo, dude. Growing up, I was Marvel 100%. Those were the first characters that I was introduced to. Marvel. Even my brothers were just like, yo, DC's trash back then, which they did a complete disservice to me. So growing up, 100% Marvel. Even up to getting back into comics during the pandemic, 100% Marvel. And I was anti-DC. Like, if you go back and read some of my, or watch some of my videos, and I was doing the weekly comic book hauls, no DC in there. And then Legion of Comics was just like, dude, you got to start getting on DC. Ignacio de Meglio, fantastic artist. He used to be on with Whack Comics. He was just like, dude, just please read All-Star Superman. And that was my gateway drug into DC. All-Star Superman. Then someone suggested Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the story that the movie that's coming out is based on, loosely based on. That was phenomenal. And then I remember watching an interview with the Pressable Defects, and Jay, the Butcher, was on, and he was talking about his favorite run. So whenever somebody talks about their favorite run or their favorite story, I'm always going to put that in the back of my mind, because if it's your favorite thing, that means it has to be good, right? So I can go out and read it. So he was talking about Batman, the new 52 Batman. So I was just like, let me go get this. So I got the first graphic novel, volume 1. Dude, I read it. I went back to Midtown Comics that day and got graphic novel 2 through 10, because it ends at 10. That really opened my eyes to DC. Now, I'm not saying I'm a DC guy now, but it opened my eyes to just phenomenal storytelling. Marvel DC, I would say I'm an indie guy. So I love all the indie stories. The majority of my collection, outside of runs, outside of like Hulk, Silver Surfer, and some things sprinkled in here and there, is indies. So I have the most indie bins. I just love indie books. I love the freedom of the storytelling. It doesn't have to be formulaic, like stick to the Marvel formula where Marvel starts off good and then it just a lot of the event stuff just dies towards the end.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm an indie guy for sure.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, no, I think as far as a collector,
Mhm.
a reader of comics, yeah, then that's the thing too. I'm kind of gonna mirror what you said. I'm kind of the same thing. When I grew up, I was all about Marvel, you know, and then when like the new 52 came out, like Jeff Johns and all that, I started getting to DC. Yeah, but recently, the majority of my reads, my pickups
Mhm.
are as well is indie stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I totally agree with what you said about the whole thing.
yeah. But the majority, like my slabs and collectibles and things like that, like
Yeah,
those are gonna be Marvel all day.
let's go, let's go. Um, what is your favorite Comic Con and why?
Oh, Heroes Con by far. Like that's I don't even have to think about that. Heroes Con, and I'm glad Mark was the one that told us about Heroes Con, and he was like, "You guys have to come." And this is before C3 was setting up at Heroes Con. So the first year we went to Heroes Con, I was just like blown away, and blown away for the fact of like it's a comic book convention. That's it, full stop.
Yeah,
Art too, but art is that leads into the comic book stuff. So it's comic books and art. It's nothing fancy. There aren't any
yeah,
big celebrities at the time. There weren't like a whole bunch of Heroes Con exclusives where these retailers are doing their Heroes Con exclusives just
yeah,
to cash in on the event. And it was a true family con where you can go in and you see families and stuff like that, which was amazing. So I remember going and I was just like, yo, and you could walk without having to bump into somebody. Yeah, it was amazing. So by far, Heroes Con, and then I've been to a lot of conventions. I remember back in the day, even when I was out of comic books, like I would still go to New York Comic Con at the Javits Center because I was into figures. Like I've always been into figures from my teenage years, so I would
yeah.
still go to the Javits and go and look at the figures and stuff like that. So I've been doing it every single year since I was like 16, maybe 17, and Heroes Con by far is I think it's the last great con. Like if you know how you see these apocalyptic movies where they have to look for the last city with like energy, like that's what Heroes Con is. Heroes Con is the last city that has like electricity.
Yeah.
I love
Well, last year, we met. I
it.
met
Mhm.
you at Heroes. I did the pilgrimage across the country to go to. I've never seen anything like that. That was wild. As far as because you have New York Comic Con, I
Yeah.
have San Diego Comic Con. Wow, I was thoroughly impressed. It's everything you say it is. Those people out there, if you love comics, you're into comics, dude, you got to at least go once. You got to at least go once. You know, um, I'm not able to go again this year, but God willing, 2027, I'm going back to Heroes. I'm gonna check that out. That was so much fun. And
Yeah.
you know what I love about uh the convention? It's in downtown Charlotte.
Mhm.
Everything was there.
Yeah.
The coffee shops, the grocery store. And if you stay at the what was the hotel? Is it the Westin?
The Weston, yeah.
Yeah, the convention center was right across the street. It was a nice setup. I mean, everything was there. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's such a good um convention to get comics because there's so many vendors. It's
Mhm.
like it was funny because if there was a comic that you were looking for, sometimes you go to cons and you'd be lucky to find one.
Mhm.
Um, there was a lot of options. It was like you look for the books and like three or four vendors would have the same book, and you'd be like, "Oh man, I could pick and choose," you know.
Yeah,
So
the,
yeah,
in- the inventory is crazy. Now, if you're looking for a modern book, like good luck. Like if you're looking for something that just came out, good luck. But yeah, the inventory of like classic stuff, just run fillers, it's dope. And I like that it runs the gamut from like smaller vendors all the way up onto like they got their books in Mylar with the fancy bags and all that stuff, all high grade stuff. Like there's a cat, I forgot the name of his comic book shop or whatever you want to call it, but he's based out of Miami, and all his books are super high grade, all Silver Age, Bronze Age stuff, super high grade. But yeah, his stuff is crazy. Yeah, I'm to the point where I love Heroes Con so much, and the last couple of years, like I've been going to New York Comic Con because I've been contracted to go and film there for stuff. But had I not been working New York Comic Con, I would have skipped it. For the last 3 years, I wouldn't have went.
Yeah. Well, it's like for me, I'm trying to fill a spawn run, right?
Mhm.
So there was guys out there that had full runs. They had 2 full runs. I could have bought every dude. The only reason I did it is because my wallet was tapping out. It was like, no more, no mas, no more.
Yeah.
But no, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I loved it, man. I love every bit of it.
So besides New York Comic Con, Heroes Con, where are some other cons you've gone to?
So there's a bunch of local cons that happen here on the East Coast. There's one happening on April 4th. Shout out to JC and Street Side Anthony. Like they collab on doing it. It's in the Bronx. I forgot what they're calling it, but that's on April 4th, and that'll take place in the Marriott Hotel. So I'll go to that. A couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 Saturdays ago, there was a small local con called King Con in New Jersey. That was pretty dope. So I went there. I met up with Cliff on Comics, Izzy vs. NYC, Mighty Comics and Collectibles. A lot of the East Coast YouTube cats, they go to that, and that's amazing. That's in another hotel. The 3 Men in the Basement put on one every year. They're content creators as well, so they put one on in Connecticut. So I go to that. The big East Coast one, though, because these are all local stuff, besides New York Comic Con, is Terrificon that takes place in July. I want to say July in Connecticut. So that one is dangerous because it's in the same vein as Heroes Con as far as like comic books and art and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, but it's in a casino.
Yeah,
so that's super dangerous. So it's in a casino, and then it's the nightlife. So I went a couple of years ago, and it would be like go to the con, hang out to like 4 or 5 in the morning, sleep for 3 hours, then go to the con. And that was like every day for like the duration of the con, Friday night, Saturday night. So yeah, it's dangerous, man. Terrificon. But that's a good one as well.
Bucket list. It's on the bucket list. Maybe someday. But yeah, it's on the bucket list.
I remember
that's wild.
Yeah, we went out on Friday after Terrificon, and it was the first time like I got to meet actual Dracula, YouTube content creator, and then a bunch of dudes. So we all went out.
That's the best part.
Smash. But the next day at the con, it was the best day ever because no one was trying to be YouTubers. Like we weren't trying to film anything. I was there, had my sunglasses on, walking around like a zombie, and I had the best day ever just trying to like look for books and stuff.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, okay, as far as comic book characters, what comic book character do you relate to the most?
That I relate to the most? The Hulk. I just want to be left alone. I love the Hulk, man. The Hulk is my favorite character. And I remember that goes back to watching it with my dad and my siblings on Saturday mornings and stuff. But it was always like growing up, it was like, if you were getting mad, you were either hulking out or you were gonna go Rambo. So it was like Hulk and Rambo. Like those were verbs in the house. Yeah, I'm about to go Hulk on you. I'm about to go Rambo. And like learning more about the Hulk, like he's not a hero. Like he gets put into these situations where he has to help, but at the end of the day, he's just a guy trying to like live. Like let me live. So I've always like loved the Hulk. Now, like I said, it's tied to my siblings and my dad. The other character, not that I relate to or anything like that, but that I just love, like I love Thanos. So I love the idea of like a big bad that all these characters have to come together to stop. Like I just love that idea, like that grand scale of things, like one character that the whole entire universe has to come together to kind of like defeat. Same thing with Darkseid in DC. So but yeah, I would say the Hulk.
Well, it's funny. Okay. I don't mean any harm on anybody, but sometimes I'm thinking like, when I'm sitting in traffic, and Thanos, when he snaps his finger, like half the people disappear. I'm thinking, that's not a bad idea. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, sometimes I wish that, but
See,
yeah, like I said,
the danger with that is, let's say if you want to snap your
I
finger.
know.
No, but you don't know if you're gonna snap
Who's
your
gonna be? Yeah, it might
fingers
be me.
behind you are gonna disappear.
I know.
One's in
I know. That's the only bad part.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
I'll be like, hey, babe, give me a beer, babe. Maybe it's like he was like, oh no, I messed up. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
If there was one superpower you could have, what would that superpower be?
I would say intelligence, like for better or worse, because I think smarts is always going to overcome brawn and it's going to overcome everything.
Yeah.
Probably intelligence, but then as a superpower, there's going to be a certain level of intelligence where like you're going to see through the veil and then you're going to know everything that's going on, and then that could be like detrimental to your goodwill, where then you might
drive you crazy. Yeah, no. I understand that, but yeah, having like a brain like Reed Richards,
Mhm.
you can make anything, solve any problem.
Yeah,
That's a good one though. No one said it. All these interviews, no one ever said that. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think intelligence, like brains over brawn all day, but there's like is with an asterisk, because when you look at somebody like Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen, who he has his superpowers and all that stuff, but he's highly intelligent and he doesn't care about anybody in the human race. Like he considers himself a god. So when he's in the movie walking around naked with his schlong dangling, it's because he doesn't care. Like you're beneath him, that he has to do that. So that's the bad part to that super intelligence.
Nice. So, well, I probably know this answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What do you collect besides comics?
I mean, I collect my Hot Toys. I haven't bought a Hot Toy in a long time. So Hot Toys are 1/6 scale, highly detailed figures based out of, I want to say, China. Hot Toys, and Sideshow is the U.S. distributor. I have a bunch of Hot Toys. I have some statues. I haven't bought a statue in a long time, but I do collect statues. That was like my gateway thing, was getting statues. And my statues are strictly based on like movie properties outside of comic book movie properties. With the Hot Toys, it's either MCU, DC, EU, and Star Wars, and then a couple of like action movies like The Matrix, Commando, John Wick. I'm looking at them Predator stuff. That
I like. Yeah.
I've gotten into the original art thing, so I've been collecting like some original art pieces and commissioning some original art pieces. Which is pretty dope, right? Because it ties to my work with C3. So I'm getting some original art pieces, and then I'm like, oh man, like this artist is amazing. Let me get something for myself. So I've been doing that. And then like some hip hop memorabilia here and there. So I have like a couple of hip hop statues, hip hop Funko Pops, hip hop action figures. So anything that has to do with kind of like hip hop. Like I got a signed record the other day where I don't even have a record player. So I was just like, let me get this signed record. And I have a couple of like books, like real books, but they're like hip hop stuff and like hip hop history, things like that. Yeah.
So who do you look up to when it comes to hip hop? Like, where's some of the guys that you're a fan of?
What really got me into hip hop, because I remember back in, like, my dad was a DJ, but he didn't play hip hop, but he played a lot of like the early 80s stuff. So maybe like Sugar Hill Gang, Africa Bambaataa, Planet Rock. So, and then like Jam on It, Nucleus. But Planet Rock was like ringing off in the house like every Saturday. And I love Planet Rock. What really got me though into hip hop was Cypress Hill. So I remember going to like my god.
Let's go. Let's
baby.
Go. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that Cypress Hill was West Coast. And Cypress Hill, because Cypress Hill is a neighborhood in Queens over here. And they even filmed the video of How I Could Just Kill a Man over here in Queens. But once I heard How I Could Just Kill a Man, that it blew my mind. And then I remember, so that had to be like 91, I think. I was 11 years old. So then my godparents brought me back, and I was begging my mom, like, you have to buy me this album. I never asked for anything. Buy me this album. So then we go to the record store, me and my mom, and I asked for the tape, and then she saw the parental advisory sticker, and she was just like, no, I don't know. And the lady was just
like, about shooting guys and shit.
The lady behind the counter was just like, it's worth it, miss. Trust me. So she was like, "Oh, fine, you could get it, but just don't play it when your dad is home." Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, the Cypress Hill is one of my favorites. Obviously, from the East Coast, Jay-Z, Wu-Tang Clan, Biggie.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Cypress Hill really put me on.
Nice, dude. That's I wasn't expecting that. Um, that's awesome. Okay, so we've mentioned it a couple times. Comics curing cancer, C3. How
Yeah.
did you get involved with that?
Comics Curing Cancer C3. So the first year when Cardboard Crazies did it, so he did it a 24-hour live stream.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
like a bunch of us just jumped on just to make it entertaining because it's a 24-hour live stream is a big task. Before that, Whack Comics had did one. I forgot the charity that they were doing it from, but we were on that for like the majority of the 24 hours with them, which was amazing. So then with Cardboard Crazies, we decided to help him out. So that was the first year. The second year, he wasn't able to do it, so the reins fell to Rob Fatstacks. So then I don't know if I volunteered or if Rob Fatstacks tapped me on the shoulder because he wanted to spread it out throughout the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then I do in the mix on Friday. So yeah, I don't remember if I volunteered or if he asked me, and just so that we could do something on Friday, and I was happy to oblige. So then we did that and we raised it. We raised a few dollars. And then the year after that, we really started to think about it. Think about it as a business is not the right way to say it because we don't make any money from this. All the money goes to the charity, but almost run it like a business where we want our branding to be consistent. We want to make money. We want to develop these relationships with people. We want people to know what Comics Curing Cancer is outside of Rob Fastax, DJ Linx, and Legion of Comics and Austin LeMay. So if, let's say, if one of us were, decided to leave, or if the whole team, Comics Curing Cancer will still stand on its own and people will recognize that brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've been able to raise a lot of money throughout the time that we've been involved. More than 200. Thank you, sir. As to date, more than $200,000, which is crazy.
Yeah,
we're just super grateful for everyone that's involved. Like, even though we do the heavy lifting, the entire community is involved. Some clubs have adopted it as their official charity, which is super dope. A lot of artists, they know what Comics Curing Cancer is. So for example, I got a homie in MegaCon and he hits me up and he was just like, yo, the big artist wants to know how he can get involved with Comics Curing Cancer. So like that's the goal, for us to be recognized almost like on an industry level where people know this is what these do. They raise money for this and this. Last year at New York Comic Con, which was like one of the highlights, like I got to meet Todd McFarlane and put one of our art books in his hand, and he took the art book, and hours later he was on Instagram and he still had the art book in his hand, which to me that meant the world to me. Like, he actually opened it and looked at it because the tape seal was broken on the back. So that means he opened it, looked at it, put it back, thought it was valuable enough to carry around with it for hours. So that made my day.
Nice. So, well, next weekend is WonderCon. I got my badge and then I got my lanyard, my C3 lanyard.
So it on the IG, baby.
Yeah, and then I pulled this out. I got this from you guys. at Heroes Con last year. Yeah, love it, man.
No, thank you. That book right there is, to me, is amazing. Like, a lot of work goes into putting that together. The Comics Curing art book, that was number 2, and in that one, like every year, we're trying to level up. And that was the first year where we did half like community artists, half like industry artists, with the main goal to transition to like industry artists, because at the end of the day, the name is what brings in the money. So if we have a cover by I don't know, whoever, a big industry artist, that's probably going to draw more attention to it than, let's say, an unknown artist. We're working on the art book for this year. I think, even though it'll come out for a Heroes Con, but like, we have our artist roster. I have half of the art already in hand. Yeah, people are gonna be like, holy shit, when they see the artist roster, when we finally start revealing some stuff, some legendary artists involved, and it's crazy. Like, I can't wait to start unveiling and announcing some of these things.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, dude.
So what comic books are you currently reading today?
That's a great question. Currently reading, everyone should be reading, like, Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, and Absolute Wonder Woman. I think those are the hottest 3 books, or Absolute Batman is probably the hottest But Absolute Batman is phenomenal because it's like action packed and stuff. Wonder Woman is completely different. Like there's action, but there's a ton of heart in Wonder Woman. And Absolute Superman is just different. Like Superman in comics to me is not like, aside from All-Star Superman, I've never really jived with Superman in comics, but Absolute Superman is amazing. And those three books each give you something different. So I highly recommend those to anybody. On the Marvel end, I'm reading Infernal Hulk. What else? If I remember.
I am too.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, I
It's
love
good.
it.
The art is fantastic when Nick Klein is on it. The art is
Yeah.
super dope.
Nick Klein, Philip Kenny Johnson's killing it. I love his writing.
Philip
Love
K.
his writing.
Yeah, New York Comic Con. I was because he's Scott's Collectibles represents him, and I was filming for Scott's. So then I got to kick it with Philip Kennedy Johnson at New York Comic Con while I was doing my filming thing. And I was like, dude, thank you for saving the Hulk because Donny Cates ruined that shit. Like, and he's just like, oh, thank you for saying that. I was like, no. Like, you don't understand. Thank you. Like, legit. Thank you. On the indie side, I'm reading a lot of indie stuff. Devil on My Shoulder is one of the ones that just wrapped up this week, but that was a 4-issue run, which I loved. It was like the movie I Spit on Your Grave, where they like torture this girl in the beginning, and then she comes back to get her
revenge. Get her revenge. Yeah.
So that's a good one. Anything Nemesis, Nemesis is amazing. The last arc wrapped up like two months ago, but Nemesis, the first story arc of Nemesis, so it's just called Nemesis. Mark Millar's and Steve McNiven's Nemesis, that I recommend to anybody. Like it's just evil Batman. Like if
it is, I was gonna say that. Bro, evil Batman.
Evil Batman it's amazing. What did I read this morning? I read this morning Ultimate Wolverine 15, which was cool. Okay. That whole Ultimates universe, like it started out really good, and it's just like not sticking the landing. Like the Ultimate Endgame, like the first 2 issues were horrible. I read Ultimates 22, I think it was this morning, which was pretty good. Sam and Twitch, like I'm a big Image guy. Sam and Twitch is dope. Lucky Devils, that's on Image. So issue 7 just wrapped up. That's a pretty cool story. Like if you read 8 Billion Genies, it's like the companion piece to that. Whereas 8 Billion Genies was about the genies, Lucky Devils is about like little devils that are on your shoulder. And there's these 2 devils that are trying to convince, like they're tired of what's going on in hell. And like they want to ascend to go to like bring good to hell so that hell could collapse. So it's like cartoony, but it's like it's really good and has some very like profound themes woven within, based around like the 7 deadly sins and stuff like that. That one's pretty good. Lucky Devils. I'm reading a bunch of stuff, but it's like I read so much that sometimes I forget what I'm reading, or I'll forget what happened the previous issue, like legit. Like it's very hard for me to remember stuff unless it's just like something that stands out crazy.
You know, for me, what I like is that you could read a comic and not feel like you're reading it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just like you'll like go through the comic, read it from front to back, and be like, "Damn!" You know, I just it didn't. That's how I know when I'm in the sweet spot is like when I can read a comic and not feel like I'm reading a comic. Then I like what the variety too. You said that pretty much a wide variety of reads. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I mean? It's not like you're reading the same thing over and over again. You're reading like different stories and getting different things. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, no, I think that variety is important. Like I don't know what it is. I'm not, aside from like the absolute stuff, because with the absolute stuff, yeah, it's Batman and it's Wonder Woman, but they focused on a lot of their like traits and like human attributes to it. So it's just like, the Batman obviously is the costume, but it's a lot of humanity to those stories, and I think that's what I gravitate to more. Like getting into comics, I noticed that I'm not big into like superheroes anymore. So aside from like my nostalgia, like roster of heroes like Hulk, Punisher, Thanos, and things like that, but I'm generally not like into the superhero stuff like that, or I kind of like phased it out because I feel like. And it's only because of the stories, the way the stories are written. I feel like with Marvel sucks now, dude.
Yeah.
and I feel like if they got back to like great writing, so like in the beginning of pandemic, so like with Venom, like Donny Cates was killing Venom, Donny Cates was killing Thor, and Immortal Hulk, Al Ewing with Immortal Hulk was phenomenal. I think after that class, like the writing at Marvel kind of watered down, and it's so formulaic that it's hard for me to pick up those books outside of the nostalgic characters.
Yeah, as far as myself, I read very little Marvel. The only two Marvel titles that I'm currently reading is Mortal Thor and Infernal Hulk. Those are the only two Marvel books that I'm picking up. Everything else is either DC or the majority of it is indie stuff. No, the thing with Marvel, it, and I always say this. They used to be the house of ideas. Now they're like the house of running out of ideas. It's like they do too many, like they'll do a mashup. They're like everybody has to be venomized, right?
Mhm.
And then now everyone has to be the Sorcerer Supreme. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Do something new, different, give us something fresh. Don't try to make somebody Venom. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah,
Like,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
yeah. So even like with Spider-Man, like I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and I read the Amazing Spider-Man, not the new one, the one before, and I got up to issue 5, and I was just like, I cannot anymore. Like this is bad. What I don't like about Marvel either is the constant resetting of the numbering. So for example, the Punisher Red Band that just wrapped up a couple of 2 months ago, I think. Punisher Red Band 1 through 5, it was Red Band. So then the new Punisher story arc started, and it was Punisher number 1. 2 comes out this week coming. But it's a continuation. Why not just continue that numbering? Like, granted, it's probably for marketing purposes, and then people could jump on. It's a number 1, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, it feels like almost a money grab. And I guess because we know comics and all this stuff, especially from, I'm gonna speak for myself. Like, I'm kind of like jaded by that stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, look at Spawn. Spawn is like ongoing since the 90s.
And at that fantastic price point.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah.
I'm
When
doing, yeah.
Well, yeah, when it says still $3.99, I'm like, okay, I'm down for that.
No, not even
$2.99, right?
I want to say $2.69.
$2.60.
Spawn
Yeah,
2.
look. I don't even look anymore, but yeah, I gotta look at that.
Yeah, Spawn.
Do you have a favorite LCS?
Yeah, so like what I consider my LCS is Royal Collectibles in Queens. I was going there for years when I was getting my hot toys and stuff like that before comic books.
Yeah.
And then I started going to the office midweek now. So I go to the office when I want. So generally I go in on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So I kind of switched it to Midtown Comics. So I go to the Midtown Comics flagship store in New York. Like everyone knows Midtown Comics. They're a great online vendor as well. But in New York, they have 4 stores, 3 like main comic book stores, and then they have like a warehouse store in Queens. So the main one flagship is in Times Square, and I'll go there to go get my comic books. Usually on Wednesdays, I'll meet up with Izzy, and then
the one that's like upstairs. Do you have to go up the steps?
Yeah,
dude, I see videos. I see so many videos of that. That looks dope, bro.
The funny thing with all Midtown Comics locations, when you go in, you got to go upstairs. They're all on.
They're all upstairs.
Really? Yeah, they're all on the second floor. There's one downtown, close to Wall Street that they just shut down up till May because they're renovating. So that they're gonna turn that into 2 floors. So then that'll be the only one where you go in, and they'll have a ground level, and then they'll have their stuff on the second floor as well.
Ooh, that's dope.
Yeah. Shout out to Midtown Comics. Shout out to Pat. He's the manager.
As far as comic book artists and writers, who are some of your favorites?
Immediately that jumps out to me is Daniel Warren Johnson. Obviously, he's doing Transformers and all that stuff. But the reason why I say Daniel Warren Johnson, do a Powerbomb. Did you read Do a Powerbomb?
Oh heck yeah! You know what? Because my LCS, I'm gonna shout out Zach. He's like a big wrestling dude. Every time I go to, it's funny because if they're not playing like a movie, they're playing like old wrestling pay-per-views. And when the first time I heard about that, he goes, "Dude, you gotta look at this guy. He draws like wrestling. When he shows guys wrestling, dude, the art is like so good.
You can
You
feel
know, so yeah, Do a Powerbomb was the first comic that I ever read. I know he's done stuff before, but that was the first time I got I was exposed to him.
same.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, same. So Do a Power Bomb is without a doubt that's my favorite comic story ever. So I'll Marvel DC Do a Power Bomb is my favorite comic story ever, and it was written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. There's only 7 issues. It has the wrestling. The wrestling is just like the facade for the undertones of the story, which is about wrestling with all these emotions, wrestling with loss. That's the first comic, dude, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Like, I was reading it, I remember sitting on the sofa, the last issue, yeah, and I turned that last page and I was bawling. Like, it hit me so hard because of the themes for like love and lost, and how the main character lost her mother, and I lost my mother years ago, and it still hurts to this day. And that book, like, legit, that's like my favorite story of all time. And then Daniel Warren Johnson also did Murder Falcon, which was phenomenal. Like, that dude has so much talent. When it's condensed in those issues, he was doing Transformers, like this current run. I read up his entire run except like the last 2 issues, and then I had to drop it because it just wasn't for me. Scott Snyder, like, killing it. The Batman New 52, and then Absolute Batman Now. That dude is a savant when it comes to writing Batman. And it's funny, with Absolute Batman, I didn't get it like on the first day. I got it the next day because I was just like, I don't really feel like picking up something new. And then I think it was Mark Legion Comics, was like, dude, it's Snyder. And I was just like, oh yeah, you're right. I love Batman New 52. So I went and got that. McFarlane, I'm reading a lot of Spawn stuff. He still writes a lot of the scripts for like Spawn, King Spawn, Scorched, and all that, or he even helps out. But yeah, for me, like, Daniel Warren Johnson is like the modern day. Obviously, some GOAT level people back then. Like some Kirby stuff, like I'll read a Silver Age thing here and there, even though it's some Silver Age stuff is hard to read. Not Stanley stuff, I'm sorry. Back then, like, it's those things are hard to read, like those books.
Dude, have you seen, like, especially DC? So when you read like a modern day comic, usually there's not a lot of dialogue. You know what I mean? It's like you could read it pretty much comfortably, like 10-15 minutes, right? Dude, if you read an old DC comic, there is so much, like, the word bubbles are just packed. You're like, man, it's like reading a book. It's like, it's crazy. So there's a big difference.
Yeah, no, back then you got the word bubbles, and then you got the but I don't know what they're called, like the prompt boxes, or the narrator boxes, and it's just so text heavy. But that's how you get like a full-fledged story. Like, what's really text heavy is like Wonder Woman. So like the not Absolute Wonder Woman, the straight up Wonder Woman title written by Tom King. So there's a lot of dialogue in that, but that story is phenomenal. Yo, legit, because of that story, and then now Absolute Wonder Woman, like, Wonder Woman has become one of my favorite characters. And I never thought to this day that I would like read Wonder Woman and really enjoy it. But Wonder Woman, to me, like Wonder Woman, even Superman, but Wonder Woman is just like encompasses everything that's good with a superhero.
Yeah, well, there's one where she teams up with Batman. And what I noticed, I really enjoyed that story. There was a lot of mythology kind of stuff. Is that kind of how it reads?
Yeah,
I'm not reading it.
Yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman is like that, with the mythology, and then even like, because she was raised
into that. I'm into that stuff.
Yeah, instead of Themyscira, this is I guess a spoiler. Instead of Themyscira, she was raised in like Hades or Hell, Wonder Woman. So she wasn't raised on Themyscira. So she found out in one of the issues that she was Amazon. She didn't even know she was like Amazon.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's dope, dude. Like, you won't be disappointed.
I'm gonna get into that. I mean, I know it's kind of late in the game, but it's probably what, 15? Issue 15?
18. I think 18 drops this week.
Oh wow, yeah, they're in 18. Oh my gosh.
Yo, the crazy is that they keep putting out these prints. So last week they did, I think, Absolute Wonder Woman 1 through 15, all new prints. The week before that, it was Batman. And legit, you go to the store and it's literally issue 1 through 15 or 16 on the shelf. These all new prints that they're doing because they're selling so many books. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're doing good for DC. And that makes me happy. I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see that,
Absolutely.
And then also, what I've noticed a lot of too is like, dude, the spec game is strong again. It seems like every week there's a new book that people are chasing. It's wild. It's like, dude, I'm not a hater, but I like going to my LCS and not have a line of people waiting. It's weird when you're like standing around with a bunch of dudes just like, ooh, I want that new spec book, and I'm like, dude, I just want my books, bro.
My books. It's funny, like I have to go now. I go a half an hour before the doors even open because the line is crazy. It wraps around it goes down about, it's like maybe 40 feet and then wraps around the block. Because of the stuff. And
that's the only part I don't like, man. I don't like that part.
I fell victim to some of the spec stuff where I've gotten stuff and then like I'll just sell those to like offset the cost of my books for that week. So if I can make $30 on a book and then my entire bill for that week.
Yeah. If you could grab it, yeah, why not? And then flip it. Dude, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, so I've been doing that. I'm not gonna lie, I've been doing it.
No, that's all good. I'm not hating. I just don't like the lines, bro. I don't like lines.
Yo, it was super whack is in Midtown. So like 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 books came out. Nectar #1, which was super hot. And then the Dork second print. So in Midtown Comics, what they do, because usually the books are on the shelf, you just go in and get your books. But they were like, all right, all the regular books are on the shelf. If you want Dork or Nectar, line up against this wall. So then you have to make 2 lines. You have to get the Nectar Dork line, pay for it, and then you can go back and get your other books. So now they're starting to do that, like kind of separate the line because it does hold up. It does hold things up. But it's also funny when it's like you just see people coming in and like they're going to get the books and then it'll be like 1 per customer on 1 cover per customer of that particular book. And they're like, oh no, I wanted like 3 copies so I can sell. And it's just like, come on, man, get out of here. Like I never even seen you in the shop before.
That's the thing too. You see dudes you've never seen before. And it's not like, I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not
I like it though.
Making money and stuff, but yeah.
I don't like the lines. I like the excitement. You know what I mean? I like that people are out there. I just don't like lines. I hate standing in line.
I think it's the excitement, and I think it's like if the comic book is successful, the comic book shop is successful. And then it's just like that energy to go in. Yo, like I know a lot of people snicker when you go in and then you see like kids that are interested in comics, like 11, 12, that go in and they want to know about stuff. I think for me, that's where it's at. Like, even though I don't have a little kid or anything like that, but like going in and seeing a kid excited about a book, like that's phenomenal to me.
Well, what's kind of cool is that like my grandson's 9. And he brings the books home that he checks out the library. And the format is like a comic book. You know what I mean? It's like there's panels. And then I'm like, oh, that's cool. Because what it's doing, it's training the younger generation that kind of format. And that's comic book format. And, my son never got into comics, but my grandson, hopefully, because I gotta give this stuff to somebody. I got all this. I can't take it with me. So, but he's down for the comic. And when we read at night, he's reading these books and there's panels with like word bubbles, and it's like, love that.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
Yeah. So as far as your favorite artists, have you met any of them?
Yeah, I mean, like I talked to Todd McFarlane, but it wasn't about it was about Comics Curing Cancer, and I gave him the book. So that was cool to meet Todd McFarlane. He's a funny cat. So I was at New York Comic Con last year and we were there for Retailer Day. So don't ask me how I got into Retailer Day. So I'm there and I'm filming, and then he sees me, and like I have a pretty, professional size camera, so I'm there, and then he just like literally stands in front of me the whole time because he loves the camera. So that was cool. I met Daniel Warren Johnson at the first year I was at Heroes Con, which was pretty dope, and I was able to get a commission from him. So I got a Optimus Prime commission. So he was pretty cool. I got to tell him about, I love his stuff. And then I actually spoke to him because Heroes Con, everybody's accessible. And if you go to that auction on Saturday night, you could rub shoulders with these people and talk to them in the same room. So I got to talk to him as I was headed back to my room to drop off one of the art pieces that I won at the auction. And I got to talk to him in the hallway, which was pretty cool. So he's dope. Scotty Young, I got to talk to for a little bit in the elevator, who's pretty cool. Like I'm not a get online type of person and meet the creators. So I don't have patience for that type of line. And I don't have patience. Like if it was go up to the line, get your signature and bounce, like, all right, cool. Like I don't have the patience for, like if I'm behind you online and then you go up to the artist and you're there for like 40 minutes telling your life story. That I don't have patience for. And I remember like I was online at Heroes Con to get a signature from David Nakayama, and the person in front of me like wouldn't leave. And David Nakayama saw I was getting frustrated. And once the person left, I was talking to him. He was just like, dude, like, thank you for whatever. I'll sign everything you want for free. Like, that's crazy because I was waiting for so long. Some of the newer artists that I've been fortunate enough to become friends with, like some like dope cover artists like Martin Zavala, who's phenomenal. Like he's the homie. Davon Jordan, who's doing like a lot of the stuff earlier on in the like during the pandemic, like a lot of Do You Poo stuff, a lot of variant covers. So that's the homie. David Sanchez, who did that art on the Comics Curing Cancer book, The Hulk, like that's the homie. Like we talk all the time. So that's what's really weird about this stuff, to go from like fan to then becoming like friends. And when they come into town, yo, Linx, I'm in town, like what's up? And I'm like, all right, cool, like I'll pop out. So that's really weird. Yeah, just a lot of Martin Simmons, which is weird, who does Department of Truth and a bunch of things. Like he's a super cool cat. Gabriel Dolato, that's the dude. So we all know Gabriel Dolato, like he's the creme de la creme.
I don't know him personally.
Yeah, no, but his art. So at New York Comic Con, like I mentioned, so what happens is I video for certain people. So I was videoing for Scott's Collectibles. So I was with Scott's Collectibles, and then I got to shadow Delato for like 3 days straight. So everywhere he went, I went with Delato. I filmed with him. Yo, dude, the nicest guy in the world. Like he's just a dude. Like he's hilarious, but the nicest guy. So I got to be with him for like 3 days, follow him around, film him and stuff like that. Fortunately, I don't think that video ever came out. So I did a video specifically for him, and then I did a video specifically for Scott's Collectibles, and I don't think they released it as well, only because like another con had happened. So it was just like we can't release this because like 2 weeks ago was already too far, and whatever it is. I released it on my channel though. But yeah, Delato, dude, like I have a picture on Instagram, me and Delato, like, cause I was leaving and then he had signed some books for me. And I'm like, yo, can we take a picture? And he's like, of course. So then we take a picture. Then I was like, yo, we're in New York. We got to do middle fingers. So I got a picture of me and him like this, throwing up the middle fingers. Yo, that shit is dope.
Awesome. Yeah. No, dude, it's some of these guys, I mean, they're just so uber talented. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that, yeah, because I've met Scott Snyder and I've met Daniel Warren Johnson. They are the nicest guys. Yeah. And you know what? When that happens, like when I'm a fan of their work and then you meet them in person and they're just so cool, there's just something about it. It's just like, like how they say, never meet your heroes because you always get disappointed. Total opposite. It's like, you were a fan of theirs already, but now that you've met them and they're like cool, you're like, oh my God, that's like, what I mean? Those things, like with Scott Snyder, it was at LA Comic Con a few years ago. We were staying at the same hotel he was staying at. So he was having breakfast and I was like freaking out. I was like, hey, that's Scott Snyder. And she goes, why don't you go over there? And he goes, well, he was eating breakfast with his son. I was like, you know what? That's him and his son. I'm not going to mess with that. Yeah. If it happens, it happens. Yeah, whatever. So as the day went on, we go upstairs, get ready. Dude, coming down, the elevator opens. Dude, he is standing right there. I think he's going up and we're headed to the LA Comic Con. And I talked to him for like a second. I said, I told him I'm a big fan, this and that. We talk about Batman. And he said, yeah, well, later today, me and Greg will be there, jump by the table. And I'm like, he's talking about Greg Capullo. Yeah. And he's talking to me like he's like my homie. I was like, and my wife was she was laughing because she saw I was fanboying.
Mhm.
But that's a moment in time that I'll never forget.
Mhm.
And it was just like it made con like super special. You know what I mean?
No,
So
absolutely, man. And I think you get a lot of that at Heroes Con. I know that was LA
oh,
Con or whatever, but at Heroes Con, like you just bump into these cats like left and right everywhere.
and then you realize, they're just like you and I. They're just
Yeah.
regular people. But on top of that, they're just super talented when it comes to drawing and writing.
Yeah. Now, without mentioning
Another
any
level.
names, have you ever had the opposite experience where you went to meet somebody and it wasn't as positive as you would have hoped?
Yeah, and I don't talk about those people anymore.
Without mentioning it, without mentioning names.
Yeah, no, it's happened before.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh man, it's like, and the thing is, I'm not gonna say again the person, but their persona
Mhm.
is when you see them on, they seem like so friendly
Yeah.
and so nice, and then you meet them, you're like, not so much,
Yeah.
But hey, so such is life, you move on, and you go somewhere else, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Um,
That happened with me uh with the same person twice where I was just like, no,
oh
no, no. So check it out, right? So the
no.
first year, like we were somewhere, I'm not gonna say where, and that person wasn't the nicest person in the world. So
Yeah.
then fast forward, we were at another place, and that person again wasn't the nicest person in the world. And I was just like, damn, this person is the worst. Fast forward again, and then I got to work with this person and I got to film and I got to be around this person. And I actually brought that up. Like, yo, this
Oh,
and that, blah, blah, blah. And it was one of those things where it's just like that person was just like, oh, at what time was this? And I was just like, oh, it was at this time. She or he or they were like, dude, I'm signing all day. By that time, my hand feels like it's gonna fall off. My back hurts from sitting in the chair. My face hurts from smiling all the time. Like I'm in so much pain in the afternoon. Like I had surgery on my wrist, and I was like, all right, that makes a ton of sense. I feel bad, but you were still a jerk.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And that's kind of a double-edged sword of being famous. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, everyone has their bad days, but you got a fan in front of you. You got somebody that admires you. That's been following you. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
think when you meet somebody, and this is like just some advice to anybody that's still watching. If somebody's signing something for you, if you're getting commission and you're waiting there, just ask them how their hands are, how are their wrists, and that goes such a long way because not only it shows that you're concerned for them and you understand that pain that they have to go through in order to create the art, but it like humanizes them as well. It's just like, yo, you're not just somebody that I'm paying to get an art piece from. Like you're a person in front of me, and I appreciate what you're doing. Like so, like how's your wrist? It's simple as that, and that could open up so many doors for conversation. And then that person is going to remember you like, oh shit, that was the only person that asked me how I'm doing, like how was my wrist.
Hmm. Yeah, you're so right. They're not robots.
Mhm. well,
So
well, we don't know, some of them might be.
yeah. Um, all right. So I got a few more questions. Anyone else in your family collect comics?
Collect comics? No. So no one in
No.
my family collects comics. My son-in-law, he did it for a little bit. I think so when him and my daughter started dating and then like they were cool and then they found he like because I was talking to him about the comics and stuff, and then he started collecting. And then one day I bumped into him in the comic book shop, and I was just like, "Oh snap! Like, what are you doing here?" He was like, "Oh, I was looking for these Miles Morales books you mentioned." I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." But then he stopped because it's a lot to keep up with, and then especially like he runs his own business, so it's definitely a lot to keep up with. No, my wife doesn't collect anything, which normally I say I don't trust somebody that doesn't collect anything, but she gets a pass. But yeah, no one else in my family collects comics.
Right. Well, and that's the thing with me too. I'm in the same situation. That's why I kind of like YouTube,
Mhm.
Instagram, is I could share my passion with other people that have the same passion. Other than that, my wife doesn't want to hear it. You know what I mean? This room that I have, I can collect whatever I want as long as it fits in this room. So space is an issue. You know what I mean? If I want to get something, I got to make sure I have somewhere to put it. You know, it's like I can't go this way. I can only go up. So
Oh,
I'm gonna be a hoarder, and it's gonna be touching the ceiling.
man.
Yeah, but no, we won't get there. But
Yeah, my wife is super supportive. Like she's even said, because my art collection is getting crazy. She was like, "Oh, that if I want, I could start putting out art in the living room, but it has to be like museum type pieces and stuff because we get it all our stuff framed and everything like that. So that's something that I'm considering. But I'm like, I don't know. I like everything condensed to the room. I don't want to, because I remember back in the day, like I used to go to like my buddy's house who was single, and you walk in and it was figures from like the hallway to the kitchen to the living room, and I was like, I don't want that.
what's the what's that comic with the girls and like the with the guns? Is that Honey Guns or what is that called?
Gun Honey.
Gun Honey. No
That's
gun honey in the hallway.
it. Yo, dog. Oh my god, I love Gun Honey. I got to meet the writer of the first arc, I think, Ed Brubaker. And
Okay.
yo, dude, just I'm talking to Matt Wilson. Shout out to Matt Wilson. He's an artist. So me and him are just talking, whatever. And then Ed Brubaker comes up. So he's like, "Oh, I'm looking for a blah blah." And then I was like, "Oh, he's right there." So then he introduces himself and he's like, "Oh, I'm the writer of Gun Honey." And I was like, "Yo, you write Gun Honey?" And then Javon Jordan, who was there too, that we were talking, he turns around and he's just like, "Yo, did a cover for Gun Honey." And I'm like, "Dude, like I love the way you show these chicks with their guns and then
Oh
getting
my
naked."
gosh.
And he was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, it's a challenge to like figure out how they're gonna get naked each issue." And I'm like, "Yo, I love it. I love it."
That's funny. Dude, I see, oh, that's so funny, man. Um, so are there any comics that you regret selling or trading?
Uh, Not really. Because let me just tell you a story. And I know I'm long-winded and I sell all this stuff. So I actually sold my absolute Batman collection.
Oh wow.
So I sold it on eBay. I saw it was going for crazy money, and I was just like, you know what? Let me sell it,
Yeah.
right? So I sold it. Boom. Probably like 3 or 4 days passed, and I was just like, oh, man, I need that back, and I rebought it, like the whole thing off of eBay. I paid less than what I sold it for, so I made a marginal profit on that, but I bought it back. So that's probably the only thing that I regret selling. I think maybe I remember selling my and this was a couple of months ago, first appearance of Harley Quinn. So I sold that because I wanted to fund something else, and I was just like, I'm tired of just spending money on stuff.
Manufacturers.
Let me figure this out and sell some
Yeah,
stuff on eBay. I opened up a separate account just for comic book stuff and do it that way. But generally, like if I were to sell something, like more than likely I'll buy it back. Now that's comic books. Now I do regret selling my figures, some of my the 12, not 12-inch figures, like the regular 6-7-inch action figures. So dude, I had every single Spawn figure from series 1 up onto, I think when I sold them it was at series 34. Every movie Maniacs, every like movie from NECA that they would do like movie figures, what they were called. And so I sold all of those things to like fund the Hot Toys collection, and there was some of them in there that I regret selling, especially like the Predator ones early on. There was some dope Predator.
Oh,
Yeah. But that I don't want to get. I've gotten from the Spawn series. I went back and I bought one figure. It's behind me that I was just like, yo, that because that was the first Spawn figure that I ever bought. The Freak from Spawn with the long hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, yo, I need this because that's the first action figure that I saw like went to the next level as far as like realism and sculpt and things like that. So I went back and did that one.
Do you press and clean your own comic books?
I do not. I use Dustin, formerly of Two Brothers Comics. Two Brothers used to do content on YouTube. So I use him if I have to press something. The comic book chiropractor. There are people that take pride in what they do. I think in dealing with Dustin and having that pressing and cleaning experience, like he's on another level. Like,
Nice.
he presses your stuff, whatever, before he sends it to CGC. He'll send you like almost like a doctor's report because he's the comic book chiropractor, right? That's his thing.
Yeah.
With projected grades, like legit, an entire paper filled out of just so that and then he keeps you updated every step of the way. So it's not just like, yo, let me send this to this guy and then you forget about your comics until they come back from CGC. Like he literally has documentation and stuff you have to fill out. It's not just, yo, here's my books. So big shout out to Dustin, the comic book chiropractor. He's official.
So, um, all right. So, okay, this one I ask everyone that I interview. It's the job interview question. Okay,
Oh,
here we go. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now in the hobby?
where do I see myself 5 years from now in the hobby?
Yeah.
Um, I'll be honest, I don't know. So I don't know if I'll be on YouTube. I would say there's probably a strong chance I will not be on YouTube. I don't know if I'll ever like stop reading comic books. I think comic books now it's such a big part of my life where I don't think I can. I think as far as like my collecting, I collect a lot of big books, like that's my thing. So I would see myself having all the books that I wanted, especially like I'm going back now and I'm collecting all the Amazing Spider-Man first appearance of the villains. So I'm just doing like villain keys. So I'm doing that. So hopefully I'll be able to have that. I'm getting more into like art, so I'll be able to have some more fantastic art pieces up on the wall. I think like my legacy, like outside of YouTube and all that stuff, I want to. It's comics curing cancer, so I want to, as long as I'm still doing it, I want those books, like the art books, the comics curing cancer weekend, the auctions. I want those to make as much money as possible, and I have my goal set out for like the art book and yeah, I think we're just going to get bigger and better every year. So like that's what my legacy would be, but I don't see myself on YouTube like in 5 years.
Okay, cool. Um,
Is that a fair answer?
that's a good answer. That's a good answer. Um, all right, DJ Links, we're to a point where we're gonna wrap this up. I only have one more question.
Let's go,
Okay.
baby.
What's the best part of the hobby to you?
That's a phenomenal question. I think in my experience within the hobby, the best part is the relationships that you make. And what I mean by that is like we all met about comic books and YouTube, right? So
Yep.
Legion of Comics, Remy Q, Tyler, Nick, like we all met doing YouTube content, comic books, and these are like my best friends now. Like
Yep.
we rarely talk about comic books, like we talk about life stuff. Uh, Going to get comics on Wednesday morning and looking forward to seeing Izzyverse on the line now that he gets his books at the same shop and we get to talk. So for
Yeah.
me, definitely it's like the relationships that you make and the friendships. And for me, I've been fortunate enough where I feel like I've made like lifelong friendships with some of these cats.
Yeah. No, it's wild because friends, my best friends that are around here, I rarely see.
Yeah.
I rarely see. We'll see each other at a birthday, or like a wedding or something like that. But my YouTube friends, I like if not daily, every other day. You know, yeah, the craziness, the friendships that you make with this. I mean, and the real friendships. They're people that people that you talk to, and like you said, you don't talk all about when you get together. You're not talking always about comics. You're talking about like life stuff. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome,
Yeah,
DJ.
no, and I think the beauty of that is like we all come from different walks of life,
Yeah,
and comic books is like the common thing. But even though we're friends, not all of us see things eye to eye. But the beauty of that is we learn from each other, and we learn like why we see things differently, and like that stuff doesn't matter. Like I still love you for you and who you are, and like you're my guy. So yeah, it's crazy to do that. Like I always thought, I'm like back in the day, I'm like, yo, I don't understand how people meet online and fall in love. That makes no sense, bro. And I fell in love with all these cats. Pause.
yeah, you said that.
It's crazy. Now I totally understand how like these long distance online relationships work, and yeah, it's crazy.
And I'm gonna add this before we get out of here. When you go to a con and you meet these people, because like Heroes Con was wild for me, because all these people that I watched on YouTube, you know, that I admire all of a sudden are like in front of me, and not just one guy, like a bunch of guys, and I'm just like, I was looking at my wife. I was like, this is surreal. You know what I mean? It was just wild. And just another reason why people, you got to go to Heroes Con at least once. It's a game changer. It definitely is.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Everyone, when I first started meeting people, like I say actual Dracula, for example. So I met him at
Yeah.
TerrariaCon one year. So then I
Yeah.
go to him, I'm like, because we're like, that's my guy. So I'm like, yo, Drac, what up? Blah, blah. So then he was just like, hi. And I'm like, dude, like, now I have to warn people. I'm like, I'm the same way you see me on screen. This is how I am in real life. Like, I'm like loud and
What you
obnoxious,
get?
over the top. I just want to warn you of that. Like, I don't have a YouTube persona. Like, this is who I am. And yeah, shout out to Drac, who got bounced from the bar by a 12-year-old, by the way. I love you, Drac.
DJ Links, dude, thank you so much, bro. This was a lot of fun. I mean, we're almost going to an hour and a half. You know, my interviews usually run 30, 40 minutes, but.
Oh, you're trying to say I talk a lot. I totally understand. I think you paused there, sir. I think you froze. Oh, there you're back.
I think I did. I got the pinwheel.
Oh,
so we're gonna cut this short. I don't want any other anything bad to happen. But DJ Links, I want to thank you for your time, dude. What a great interview. Before we get out here? Do you want to do a shout out? You want to say anything that you have lined up?
Videos. I drop videos on Monday. I drop some shorts, especially like my new comic book day short on Wednesday, and then I try to drop some shorts in between. And then we do In the Mix every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's me, Legion of Comics, Remy Q, Nick's Kicks and Comics, and then Tyler from Whack Comics when he wants to show up. Yeah, we just have a great time, man. I'm just trying to have fun with what I do with my time on YouTube. I think for me, that's what it's all about, just having fun.
All right, very cool. Well, again, DJ Links, thank you so much for the time. Everyone that's gonna watch this, thank you so much for your viewership. I really appreciate it. As always, peace, happy collecting, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, everyone, take care.
Well, take care. Peace.